Thank God it's Friday. Very good morning to you. You are watching Signature Morning live on Signature TV. Well, today is the 14th day of November 2025. The week is over. Finally. Quincy,
Finally.
Good morning.
Good morning, Uche. Of course, thank goodness it's Friday. And what will you be doing for the weekend?
Man, I have a lot of things in mind. Most especially, I need to rest.
Of course. Good morning and welcome to Signature Morning. I am delighted to have you join us every single morning here on Signature TV and also to take up today's conversations. So many things has been, let's do like a throwback today.
Yes,
so many
a
things have been
recap
happening
of the
during
week.
the week. First of all, the Anambra elections. I don't know if you monitor. Oh, of course you did.
We were all here on Saturday last week.
And of course it was one of a kind,
yes,
I must say.
monitoring the election live. I mean, our people went there and we saw a lot of vote buying.
Of course.
And
it's really surprising that something that happened in daylight, everybody's denying that it didn't happen.
I mean,
if
it
you have
beats my
videos.
imagination.
We saw people exchanging their votes for 500 naira and malt. And that's like a very crazy exchange rate.
So that is really so sad, considering that we're always talking about, you know, free, fair, credible elections in Nigeria, and then we end up having all of this.
Do you know the crazy part is the people selling their votes are I don't want to call it a very horrible name, but you know when you're like in the underdeveloped region and you still sell your votes for 500 naira and malt. I think we need deliverance in this country because where are we heading to with this kind of behavior?
Of course. And then also the PDP convention issue. I mean, remember when we spoke about how we used to see PDP when we were much younger as, you know, one of the only political party, honestly. And now we are just seeing a lot of confusion left, right, and center. This convention alone has caused a lot of conflicting court orders. I mean, Quincy.
To be very honest, I expected that would have gone past this particular stage with the PDP, knowing that. But it's just when you plant weed amongst your crop, you know, it's just keep growing. It grows faster than even the crop itself. And I think this is that's what's going on in the PDP. And if they don't resolve this issue, they won't make it to the top three during the 2027 election.
I don't think they are actually in the top three
because it's going to happen. And that's a period.
That's a period. Okay.
Okay. What other thing trended this week?
Well, Wike. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
That was on Tuesday when it happened. Yerima, I don't know. I think Yerima should be having he should be on a vacation at the Bahamas or wherever right now because the kind of attention he's commanding. Okay, but the truth is nobody is saying the wrong in what he did, probably because it's Wike, right? And people might not really like the man. I feel if it was someone different, a calm person, you know, a more, should I say, respected person in the society, probably it would have been different. Even the person would have reacted differently. To be very honest.
Are you saying that Wike is not very much respected?
He's respected. But, you know, because of the fractionalizations going on and everything, most people are they are not just in good terms with him and all that. So I feel if it was a different person,
but a lot of reactions are coming. Some people are still condemning his actions. Some people are saying that. I mean, you know, everyone has an opinion about this, but I mean, these are just a few of the highlights.
And I learned that Jeremiah got a car yesterday from our former vice president.
Oh, interesting. I mean, he's receiving a lot of accolades right now, but let's just see how it plays out because I mean, Wike is still, you know, should I say upset about the whole issue. Anyway, these are just a few highlights of what happened this week. You can find these conversations that we had on our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us. Click the subscribe button to get all the notifications when we drop conversations like this. And coming up next, we have our newspaper headlines and review. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha.
And I am Quincy Rowland.
It's time to check out what's trending on the headlines this morning, starting with the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, still on the PDP convention, delegates arrive in Ibadan amid calls for caretaker committee.
And we have the Gombe State Governor, Inuwa. Yahaya presents 2026 budget proposal of 535.69 billion naira, tagged budget of consolidation to state assembly. That's a lot of money.
I wonder where all this money
Comes from.
comes from and goes
We keep
to.
seeing figures every now and then, and I'm worried. Do we really have this money?
And we're in debt.
Of course. Of course.
Anyway.
And looking at the PDP convention, I just like that they're taking the bull by the horn and arriving in Ibadan amid the crisis going on.
Yeah.
Okay. How next is how I've managed diabetes for 20 years to 75 to from a 75-year-old man. And just yesterday we talked about diabetes.
Yes.
This is really interesting. I think you should actually
We
check
need
out
to be
this
careful
particular
about
story.
this. Yeah,
Exactly.
even the diabetes as a whole. Now, reps ask WAEC to suspend CBT for 2026 exams.
Did we see this coming?
Well, we saw this coming a bit because I
But
remember
it was
when
too soon. It's coming too soon.
so much for wanting to break into technology
Of
and
course,
do all those
and
things.
move with the trend. And we have Nigeria inch closer to the 2027 World Cup tickets. Did you watch the match that happened with Nigeria and Gabon yesterday? I doubt you did. And last but not the least, we can take on this Daily Trust. Is the marketers welcome suspension of 15% fuel import levy?
Now let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. No religious persecution, genocide in Nigeria. This is coming from Idris Tuga, AU. Now we're seeing on the riders, PFN asks Trump to support Tinubu against insecurity, rejects military threats. Trump echoed what Nigerians of good conscience have been saying. This is from P2B on page 5. Now, since the US, designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern, there's been, an
uproar.
Yeah, an uproar of a lot of things. No religious persecution. I hope
interesting. I hope we keep getting the attention that we deserve, and maybe people should keep making statements about Nigeria and have people on their feet every now and then. And from the sports, just because Uche did not follow up the football match that happened yesterday, Nigeria 4-1 against Gabon. Osimhen shoots Super Eagles past Gabon. Congratulations to the Super Eagles, and also thank you to Osimhen for always saving the day.
Osimhen. Now on the Guardian newspaper, Anti-Torture Act at 8. On the big story pages 4 and 5, victims bear scars, endure trauma as law remains on paper.
And we have passengers stranded after train breaks down in Kaduna. This is really sad.
Yeah.
And as well as tax burden on airlines threatens aviation sector, operators warn. Please, the Christmas is drawing closer, and if we have flight prices skyrocket from what it is now, I think most of us will trek to our village.
I think it's a normal thing when we come down to the Yuletide season. Cost of everything goes up, particularly transportation. So I'm actually not surprised if you ask me.
And people will still travel.
And people will still travel. People have money. All right. Senate considers bill subjecting military convictions to court review.
Okay, and from ASU may resume full-blown strike on November 21st over selective implementation of parts.
ASU and
Federal government.
And federal government. I think at this point it's a bit worrying and also tiring to constantly hear ASU threaten to go on strike because the federal government did not meet up with one thing or the other.
I think I'm more worried about the students in school that have to extend the period of time that they will have their courses to study. If you have like a 3-year, 4 years course, you end up doing a 6 years course.
Honestly.
Because of the strike.
Well, Nigeria supplied 12.6 million barrels to Dangote, says NMDPRA.
And we have confusion, crisis swirl around PDP convention amid conflicting court orders. And on this, on the news page 6, we have AU chief dismisses genocide claims as Obi task editors on nation building.
Now, ADC says fresh 1.15 trillion naira loan exposes Tinubu's addiction to reckless debt. And we're just talking about how we're still in debt and all this.
I think we are really in trouble in this country. And people on TikTok are more concerned about another person's marital issue when...
Let's not even go there. I'm just worried about how this debt will be paid and who will be the person to pay this debt. Because
maybe Jesus Christ to do that for us.
Oh, well, amen.
Okay, so over to the Nation's newspaper. Boldly written is Saraki writes off PDP convention. Who saw that coming?
Well, AMCON officials, lawyers face contempt charges for alleged contravention of court orders. Bala, Alade, Lamidi, Adaye, Danamu served Form 48 notice on page 2.
Okay. All right then, so over to the Punch newspaper. Boldly written, still the Ibadan convention where PDP delegates arrive amid Saraki's cancellation move. With rider ex-Senate President George, top PDP leaders clash over caretaker committee plan as INEC reviews judgments. Interesting.
National Assembly shifts WAEC's CBT adoption to 2030. And a genocide interview, don't panic. Piers Morgan tells Tugger on page 14.
And also, our airlines reject fresh $11.50 NIS fee.
Tinubu shifts 15% fuel import duty to Q1 2026. Let's look at the Nigerian Tribune. On the headlines of that, we have, I have respect for military, but abhor lawlessness. This is coming from Wike on page 2. FCT minister carrying out his statutory responsibilities, but, says Falana, ex-CDS Irabo faults Wike's action.
And we have how misinformation on capital gains tax sparked 4.6 trillion naira market loss. And this is on the page 12.
Troops foil abduction of 74 NYSC members in Borno on page 22.
And on the page 27, we have Senate launches probe into stamp duty revenue.
NCP approves BPE move to cede AFAM power plant to Transcorp Power Consortium on page 12.
And from the health sector, we have the chronic kidney disease is now 9th leading cause of death globally. And this is from Lancet study.
And PDP seeks to join Bielsa deputy governor's suit against move to impeach him.
I think that's the most we have on our dailies for today. And to just in a minute, we will be going over for our newspaper review with the Oracle, Christian Maduka, who is in the studio. And we, of course, over to you, Chris. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Chris. You're welcome.
Good morning, Uche.
You won't believe what is going on the dailies this morning.
Well, there's nothing I don't believe in.
I think Chris is used to it at this point.
So delegates have arrived in Ibadan for the convention amid the call, amid calls for caretaker committee. You know, it's just really surprising that these people would go through with the convention, even with what is going on in the courts.
When there is confusion in the land, and people who are supposed to keep the law are giving laws against themselves, so the people will find a lacuna at every point to do what they want to do. If a court in Ibadan said the convention can hold, another court in Abuja in one country said don't hold the court. I mean, before you know it, before they are just arriving, another court maybe in Ogbomosho will say go home. So the delegates are just there, you know, trying to find a way to make sure that whatever is left of PDP is just scratching the surface to put some resistance. Remember the story of the tortoise that always say that when I fight with my wife, I know my wife will always beat me to pulp. But what do I do? To show resistance, I will only scratch the ground when people come and say, hey, tortoise put up resistance. So whatever the remaining remnant of PDP is trying to do is just put up resistance. If they succeed, good luck. If they don't, the whole thing will come back to the main fact that most of the forces working against PDP are from within PDP. So they can't even say opposition party is doing anything to them. If among them, they are there, they have not mentioned anti-party, they have not mentioned sabotage, They are not mentioning, pulling carpet under they are not mentioning internal political fights. So who did they say when PDP collapses? Who did they say made it? It's them that decided to kill PDP because they felt there's another person's garden is greener. So we wish them well. You remember those days we sat here, there was this illustration of a bus tagged APC. And then a lot of big men carrying their bag, jumping and entering. And that bus looked clean and good because it's new. And I was telling my colleagues on this desk, they are jumping into a new bus because they finished the old bus and they got rickety. If they were using umbrella then, they were overused the umbrella and it got turned into pieces and they can't even recognize the colors and they are looking for new ground. The same make, the same pot, the same crucible cooked all Nigerian politicians. And that's the PDP. And they're jumping ships though. And then whenever you see a pig remains a pig. Even if you bath pig with a hypo, whatever. At the end of it all, he will come out to become a pig. So don't mind these politics. They're just keeping us busy. The politicians are happy. That's their job. They are jobless people who are living the best of life. Because you go to ask a young kid and say they were introducing themselves in the school. They say, what do your father do? One person came and said, my father is a medical doctor. He treats people. And another person came and said, my father is a politician. They said, what does he do? He said, I don't know. He will just get somewhere and do and people will give him money. So what is politics? It's yaga. Then people you confuse, you collect money. That's it. That's your game. And then the worst thing is that it's these people that don't do nothing. That the people controlling Nigeria in the name they call themselves politicians, jobless people who are dupes. Just making sure they get the money, the best money into their hands. But the workers, the types of TUC, NLC, the civil, the private and public people who really struggle, they know how much they make, they know how much they will spend. Those ones are the ones struggling to keep this nation going. But the politicians will jump. But if they jump this delegate thing and all, whether delegate hold and no hold, money is going into somebody's hand in politics, and that's what they do. Somebody is sitting somewhere enjoying this confusion about NPDP delegate. Some people have made big money out of it, whether he held or not.
Of course.
Now let's look at this. Still on this Wike issue, he's still reacting, saying, I have respect for military, but abhor lawlessness. Now Falana also is saying that the FCT minister was carrying out his statutory responsibilities, but there is a but. And the ex-CDS also is faulting Wike's action. So there are still a lot of reactions about it.
I said confusion in a country. It got to a point where people were even supporting negativity. The way what they support is nobody is saying how good is which one is gooder or badder. The way these two actions are so bad, you can fault both sides. But when you want to really be a Nigerian, and if you care about the constitution of Nigeria, Wike is doing his statutory duty. But how he was doing it might be where he got wrong. Absolutely. But that doesn't make the position of the Federal Capital Territory Minister to become an object of caricature. And I said, don't do it now because it's Wike that is handling it the way he's handling it, bringing his personal characteristics into the job. Another person will come there tomorrow. After all, we had over 12 Federal Capital Territory Ministers since the inception of FCT. None of them had done it the way Wike do. So everybody comes there, he do the job and go. So you come because it's Wike's turn and see that. You can find the whole Nigerians. Maybe because of the nature of Wike, people have lost sight of the constitutionality of actions and they're looking at the morality. Because the morals of whether Wike got overburdened, overrated, is just overused words and used on negative words. People would have said, sorry, minister, and the young man was composed. But then his position was wrong. The young man was composed. He never used wrong word against him because he was a well-trained officer. He just said, sorry, sir, I can't shut up. I can't, he don't know one. And he keeps saying, sorry, sir. But then something happened. Somebody drew attention. When all that thing was happening, he had his hand in his pocket without swagger. But when he handed the phone over to him, when the CDS or whoever called, he stood at attention and was answering the call. What does that show? We should draw the line. When they are taking orders, we should also, that's some lacuna in Nigerian constitution. We say we are running civilian government, but then some people say, once somebody give me order, I would. And then, I keep saying, assuming that property had issue, and they carry army and put there, is that why the Minister of Federal Capital Territory cannot go there? That's why we are trying to balance it, so that nobody will say, we came here and may not have done what he should do or follow the normal process. But the young army man is now, I learned some people are donating cars to him, some people are donating their salaries, some people are giving him awards. If in a country we become so subjective to issues and leave objectivity of balance and looking at clear facts, it's because of the nature of the country. It's Chris, because of the, and it calls for the FCT minister to reassess himself, knowing that even when he has some element of right in what he did, everybody faulted him because of his approach to issues. So let's move.
So let's look at something that is going to affect us even down to the home. We are having this same ASU and federal government thing coming on, and ASU is to strike on the 21st of November over the selective implementation of pacts, as well as I think about 2 months ago or so, they had said that the exam, the WAEC, will be written as a CBT exam. Now they have reverted. It says till 2030. And that's like, how many years?
Let's start with passion, because we sit on this desk and the world will bear out witness. Even Signature TV use my analysis of CBT. And when I said WAEC overrated themselves, and now repeating. So if they are recouncing on their own the law, and the federal government and national has decided to change that, I have seen it, and I said it was insensitivity. We have children in the crisis-stricken area. We have children in is it what they call them? People who are in the camp, refugee camps, IDP camps in Nigeria. They are the people who will sit CBT. Because some people felt comfortable in Abuja and Lagos. They just look at Nigeria, they didn't see how complex and big Nigeria is. Some children are in some areas in Nigeria occupied by bandits and terrorists, where the neighborhood pay tax
to terrorists.
Those are where you go and grant CBT. So what will happen to those children, if at all they will even have exam at all? So I said it was an overrating, and the WAEC was so insensitive. They didn't care about the poor. And they say equity. In every decision, you must put the pro-poor. If you want to do CBT, we said at that time, you should have been in gradual process. You just jump one day, every Nigerian, and then create problem. You know what you cost some parents that have not heard about CBT before? Some children that don't have had about CBT, what it will take them to go into the process. People will exploit them. Where the awareness they created for people to know about CBT, just jump. Because they're comfortable in their 12-story building in Yaba, Lagos. It's wickedness, but thank God we have come back. If you give time and said in 2030 Nigeria WAEC will go CBT,
it's not visible.
Now we can see and they begin to test ground with schools that can do CBT in urban areas and live until the thing will trickle down to the extent with this time. That's policy that has human interest. That's bad. But the issue of ASU is still the confusion. How can you be in Nigeria? I keep saying that I never knew ASU reached an agreement with federal government in 2009. You guys that are good in mathematics, check it today. Federal government, I said, is it that federal government is telling lies or ASU is telling lies? It's not from my mouth you hear. It's two of them that are squalled it. Now, if ASU, I say if a child is crying every day and they're pointing hand in one place, if his father is not there, the mother is there. What is stopping the federal government of implementing an agreement? If they told ASU, since they started this, if the federal government have been implementing this agreement in batches, by now they would have finished and say, ASU, They tell the world, we have finished what we agree with ASU. If ASU is going on strike, it's ASU Wahala. Then the world, the Nigerians will turn to ASU. But now they still find ASU as the underdog. So why are they saying selective? They are going on strike. They won again. They'll go on strike for selective implementation of agreement. But the federal government is not doing selective borrowing of money. The federal government has borrowed so much. The federal government is not selective increment in fuel price. Federal government is not doing selective in all the policies that make us be in hunger and hardship. Of the Agbado and the Ewa popular case, how much is it? Did they do selective? When they increasing tariff of utilities, was it selective? So let them, you know what I'm saying? For objectivity, God is my witness. If ASU has reached agreement with federal government, and federal government agree with that, let federal government implement it. And if the dialogue and say, we have given a template or a plan that we implement this agreement in 4 phases. The phase 1 will be done, phase 2 will be done, give us from now to here. That's dialogue. Instead of going there, I'm speaking, you know what it costs the federal government to sit down in negotiator meetings, back closed doors. That would have paid half of what ASU is asking for. They will spend it in meetings. People, these ASU delegates travel to Abuja in hotel lodging and they stay and drink just to say, do what you have agreed. Is the government not continue? After all, the same federal government inherited so many things. Why didn't they change? They inherited ASU, still answer ASU, and they're still in Nigeria. If they inherited NASU or another name, we would have known it's the ASU that they started since all of them are inherited. So when it's good for federal government, ASU, they take credit. When it's bad, they now begin to delay. And I don't think it's good for the federal government, who is supervised by the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria. If a father tells lies to his children, why will you have confusion in the heart? And we started talking about it. You will be here, ASU will go on strike again. And Nigeria children, because the people involved, their children are not in Nigeria.
Of course.
Let's move on, because our time is fast. No.
Okay. What other thing?
Okay, finally, this you mentioned about the debt, and ADC says this fresh 1.15 trillion naira loan exposes Tinubu's addiction to reckless debt.
They called it an addiction.
Yeah, I think the present government. I'm not ADC. I'm not an opposition party. But if opposition said addiction, they must see some addiction in when somebody constantly do so, it's not what they call addiction. The federal government of Nigeria under the respected President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Jagaban himself, has shown some elements of being addictive to borrowing. Since they started, the history said they've been the highest, the government that borrowed highest within a very short time. The amount. And our debt profile has gone so high within the 2 years and a few months of their coming into power. And we said you remove subsidy, and then you should borrow that much. So what's the extent of removing subsidy? Did you rob Peter to pay Paul? So there's still total confusion, and we are the wretched of the earth at the receiving end. Still find life so difficult. We have not noticed anything. All we hear anytime we wake up is that the president that dreamt of borrowing, the NASU said, borrow, sir.
Okay, Chris, our time is up.
God bless Nigeria, just as you
say.
Okay,
yeah. So that's the end of today's. Thank you for having been there with us. You know, every morning within this short time, you have this idea of either you switch off or you, because this shouting, it may be giving you a headache. But that's all we do to see there must be a solution to Nigeria problem. My own approach is to be passionate and have this, this energy to it. So God bless you for having been there with us. God bless my angels here. God bless the staff of Signature TV everywhere. God bless you. God bless me too.
God bless you too.
Because you also remember that God blessings are meant for those who deserve to be blessed. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much. So I think this is where we draw the curtains on our newspaper review. We'll be back and we'll have our first conversation for today.